Yeah, what's interesting is, you know, it's funny because the guy that I worked on today, remember I talked about the one where I usually go, woo! You know, when they come in with a spasm, because I'm like, this is going to be hard. I mean, basically that was my story, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't buy that story this time, and it changed. But what's really interesting is I was very aware because it could have been two muscle groups that I was working on with the guy. It could have been gallbladder, liver, or it could have been it could have been lungs and large intestine. So what was really interesting is everything he wore, he had a black t-shirt, he had black shorts on, a gray t-shirt, and then black shoes. So is that lung or large intestine or liver gallbladder? Lung and large intestine. So it's that crazy insane of a reflection to that degree. Okay. So we're talking about her hip flexor, heart, pericardium. That's your not only it's your middle finger. It's not only your blood pressure, but it's also sexual energy, right? And what color is she wearing? Orange. Ooh, your second chakra.
It's closed off.
I feel it.
Closed off. Totally turned off.
Ooh, turned off.
Totally. From her actions, literally a 35-year-old woman throwing a fit is like turned off.
It turned me off.
Real.
But she's also wearing gray. We'll see if this follows through. And she's got black socks. Which, your underwear?
I don't wear underwear.
Okay. La la la. Okay. So we're just going to go from there. She said it's her right side, so I'm going to work across. There. So I'm just going to tune into it. So we know it's heart, pericardium. That's what this muscle here is related to. We also know orange. I mean, look, it can be that reflective. Not always, but I'm seeing more and more that it is. Maybe it's just me becoming more and more aware. But she's got the orange on. She's got the gray, which is going to be lungs, large intestine. So I'm going to tune into this muscle she's presenting as the issue. And I get pericardium. Let me see your other hand. That is wild. Yes. Okay, look at this. All right. Now, yeah, people might say I'm fucking crazy for how far
crazy? You are crazy.
People say I'm crazy for how far I take this whole mirror thing.
It works.
Okay, but look at her hand. Look at her hand.
Get the gray one.
On the ring.
Pink fingers, pink fingers, pink fingers, gray. This hand is the exact same way. This finger here is triple warmer. What's this finger relate to?
Your
Passion.
Passion. It's also the partner of the pericardium, which is the muscle I'm on. Okay? Gray, okay?
Look at the finger.
So here, the triple warmer is what you put your ring on. It's related, you know, and both fingers are the same on both sides, even though we do it on the right. It's about relationship, it's about thyroid, adrenals, and your digestion. So basically, that's being blown on her. Okay? Gray is indicating to me, in my crazy universe, which I think my universe seems to be reciprocating my craziness because it's getting more and more so, is that the gray to me would tend to relate to more of a lung issue than a colon. It could be a colon. But, you know, lungs are about being able to breathe free. It's also about grief. So this whole thing maybe just, you know, we could even use the term like this, these issues with my girlfriend's just giving me grief. You know what I mean? Things like that. So we'll just see where we go from there. So I'm going to tune into the muscle, just kind of working into it. As soon as you touch it, you're already doing the session. And us talking, her energy's already shifting. You know, I foresee a time where you don't even do any tapping, really. Mm-hmm. It's like Jesus. You know, Jesus didn't say, "Okay, now I can now walk." I can see. You know, it's like, no, I didn't see. So, but you know, we got our training wheels on still.
It's funny that you said I can walk, I can see, he walks on the sea.
Oh.
Did you ask for a pain level?
Thank you. I forget that. With pain level, where are you?
The back is pretty intense.
Okay, 0 to 9.
Probably an 8.
Okay, and what about here?
Probably a 5.
5. Okay. I'm drawn here more, so we'll see. What's interesting about the back that I haven't gotten into, look at your sheet on the back. What are the muscles beside that lower spine? QL. She said it. Quadratus lumboris. Yeah?
Okay, I just have a comment.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like, should be like where she can see all the energy coming out?
Oh.
Like pointing right.
I don't really see it that way anymore, Marianne.
Okay,
My universe is crazy, remember?
okay,
I see it transforming in place.
okay.
Sometimes that's appropriate. I mean, really, when you disperse something, where's it really going? Yeah, it's just going out.
Recycle.
Yeah, it's in the toroidal field. She's just going to come in. The idea to me, imagine if it's all the toroidal field. It's like you're clearing and moving stuff out. It's just going to recycle through her, but it's just going to recycle in a clearer way. But QL, go to your chart. QL, what meridian does that relate to?
I think it said bridge. Was it like?
Yeah, but I'm not really interested in that part because I'm going to tie this into the color you're wearing.
I don't see QL. I don't know.
Quadratus lumboris is what they call it. Sorry. Look on the back of the person.
I don't see it.
It's not that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It is kind of a deep muscle. Turn it over and look at the muscle right by that lower spine. That should be QL.
Quadratus lumboris.
Okay. Colon. And what color is it?
Gray.
Gray.
Where's that
You know what's funny is I keep telling her, don't eat everybody's shit
there on the
sandwich.
front. There it is, okay.
Don't need everybody's what?
Shit
Shit
sandwich.
sandwich.
Shit sandwich.
Her family is so negative all the time. You know.
But here she has got the gray, and that's one of the muscles she has an issue with, on the finger that relates to the muscle I'm on. Is that an accident?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. My world is getting more and more strange, so.
There are no
Check
answers.
her toes.
I would totally
Huh?
do that.
Check her toes.
Check your toes? Check your toes?
Check her toes.
Which toe?
Are they
Same
painted?
one?
Are they painted?
Oh, are you
The
supposed to?
same?
They're red.
They're red. Ooh, red. Okay, so I'm just really drawn to work into this muscle. I'm not really even drawn to say anything right. And this is what I wanted to mention, because I did this at that session today. He didn't seem too open to go over things, so I did it in my head. Remember that thing with Marianne and me? 3 bears, I picked it up?
Mm-hmm.
So here's a really powerful thing to realize. The story you're holding is changing the person's energy that you're around, period. So how much words do you got to say?
Not so much.
Not so much anymore, right?
And that's, Jesus held everybody as perfect.
Mhm.
Story helps in the learning process, though.
Yeah,
It's nice
yeah.
to hear the.
And we're still doing that because the story she's telling is what
Right.
needs to be addressed. I don't know that we'll ever get rid of the story. I think you have to acknowledge the story. Just like
But
you're
when you
not.
have a client like you had earlier today, he's not ready for
Yeah.
your verbal input,
Mhm.
so you just kind of have to go through
Yeah,
it
play
without
with it
speech.
my own way.
It's kind of like though that you can talk or be like that with his higher self.
Yeah, exactly.
His higher self
Mhm.
and where he is here, he still has a higher self.
Right, and you're also in the field. So
Right.
I'm sitting right in her field. So whatever I'm thinking, she's getting to. Just like I got the thing with Marianne very specifically, right? So whatever you're thinking, you're putting that idea into his field, which is very powerful. I mean, you can do that with anybody. Anybody can do that to you. Okay. That's why when you live with somebody, you're really syncing with. You want to make sure you want to sync with that shit.
You got that right.
You want to sync with that or sync
with
with it?
Sink or sink.
Sync with that shit.
So what would be a good tool then? Let's say you are fairly,
Screwdriver.
yeah.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
I don't know what
What did you say?
Jim said, what would be a good tool? And I said, screwdriver. I'm kidding. Anyway, what were you saying?
A screwdriver.
So,
Maybe in this case.
so you've worked to a place where, you know, you still may have a few programs floating around, but,
Yeah.
you know, they're pretty much small or whatever.
Mhm.
And so you're around a group who are really putting off their stories
Right.
onto your field.
Mhm.
So what would be a good tool for shielding so that that doesn't take maybe one of your small programs that you've almost gotten rid of and give it charge again.
Well, it will.
So that it pulls you back into.
It will definitely do that to you. And here's the thing, you can shield in the beginning. This is I can't remember the name of the book. I think it was called The Wild Way or something like that. I forget the guy that wrote it too. I'm so good at telling stories. But basically, there's a line in there I'll never forget. I've got it copied somewhere on my computer. It says, okay, the image, he's talking about shielding, okay? And he's talking about being, and he uses the analogy of a dwarf and a giant, okay? So here's a little 3-foot dwarf, okay, with an axe, and there's this 10-foot giant, and they're facing off. And the dwarf goes, shield on! And then the giant just picks up a foot and goes, okay? What he was getting across is that the shields are okay, but in the end, they actually are affirming weakness rather than being strong.
Sure, I see that.
If you have to shield yourself against something, you're just like when somebody tells you a story and goes, ooh, I just gave my power away. If you
Right.
shield up, you gave your power. It comes down seriously to you saying what you want and you sticking to it. And you're going to be blown this way and that way, but that's where you learn how to strengthen it. It's like they're going to set you off and you go, no. It's like, the image that pops in my head is, here you are trying to fly a plane in very high winds, right? It's hard to take hold of your joystick, what do you call it, throttle, and control
That works.
where you want it to go, right? It's about getting a hold of yourself, period. Getting a hold of yourself, your joystick, and going where you want to go, not letting other people blow you around. So if you hear all this negative stuff coming at you, it still comes down to you grabbing hold of your energy and changing it. Because you can't change that out there until you can change the vibration you're putting off. Because usually what happens is if somebody's in a negative situation, here you all throwing this negativity ball back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If the ball comes at you, it sets you off and you throw it back, that game will never, ever, ever end.
Or to
Ever.
pick up speed, actually.
That's like Jesus, when they were out, and the prophets were out on the water and it was storming,
Mhm.
and he was asleep and everybody else is freaking out thinking they're going to, drown.
Yeah.
And he wakes them up and says, Jesus, calm the thing. And he's, you of little believers or faith or something
Yeah.
like that. And that's what he stayed center, and it didn't matter if he was in a storm or if he wasn't in the calm, he wasn't going to change.
Right.
But everybody else was freaking around him. He could have gotten freaked out too if he wasn't centered.
And the good thing about that, Jim, is it brings up, and this is what we're doing, this is the process I've been working on. So really, y'all are just playing within what I'm trying to do, myself. And because y'all are interested in the same thing, or you wouldn't be here. Is we're looking now, we're going from seeing the patterns, which we're playing with more on a deeper level, seeing what that's reflecting, and then clearing that. So whatever gets blown out of you, it's telling you where you still lack mastery. You still lack the ability to gain control of yourself. And life's going to keep smacking you in the face until it happens, until the time when you're in such a place, just like those videos I showed that one evening, about, were you here with that, with...
The Matrix?
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember he said,
I love that.
once you get to that place, you won't have to dodge the bullets. And that's what it is. If you have to dodge the bullets, you're not there yet. If you have to dodge the story that's coming at you or try to avoid it or shield yourself, you're not there yet. But you're in the process of. So take what you get, work on that until you are more and more mastered. So the steps are you getting closer and closer and closer to self-mastery. And then what happens, once you get to a certain point, you're standing in authority, you actually change their story. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you can't do that if you're not empowered. If you're in the place and you buy into their story, if you get all those negative emotions first thing hit off, and then all your hormones and chakras and everything get distorted, once you're in that, you've lost your power. So you got to get back to your own space where you're in your own space and you're projecting that out. But the first sign is the emotions. If you start feeling negative, that tells you you're out of your center. You're stuck somewhere in the storm. You got to bring yourself back. That's the first sign. Emotions, if your emotions are all fucked up, it tells you you're out in your field somewhere. Because your natural resting state should be one of bliss. Because if you're right here, you're satisfied in the moment. There is nothing wrong, right? So if there's something wrong, it tells you where you're in your field, where you've been sucked out. And then you go, okay, what's the story around this? What are my beliefs, perceptions? Tap, tap, tap. Get yourself back to center.
So the tool would be, there is no tool.
Right. You are your own tool.
You're
a tool, Jim.
You just say, no, I'm not
Well,
buying
it's
into
like
that
when the
story.
wind gets high, instead of us being able to continue to fly, we get blown off to the course, and then we put our shields up and do all kinds of crazy ass shit instead of going, okay, the wind's high, I need to try to, go
Compensate.
along. Yeah, I need to try to stay on course as well as I can, rather than getting all. That's how I am understanding it. Am I right there?
Yeah. It's all self-mastery. It's about, you're not controlling anything around you. You're controlling yourself, period.
No matter how high the wind
And
is.
if somebody else is controlling your emotions, who has the power? You sure the fuck don't. I mean, if they're just pulling you like a puppet, you're powerless. You're the pathetic little power something.
And that's what I'm meaning by the wind, Jim. The wind gets high, and instead of us staying on course, we let their wind blow us off into.
Right. So this wind's coming at us, so, well, I guess we would have to not really use any tools, but compensate our own saying, okay, I acknowledge this strong wind coming to my lee side, therefore I shall.
So you see it coming, or are you up into?
Well, I know what you
It's like,
mean.
you know, like
You have to
Yeah.
the
compensate
first
for
night
it.
that
You're
I
right.
was here, I
Be a shield or
shared that
tool.
story
Right, exactly.
about my
And that's
getting
what it's like
picked up
Tai
on
Chi-ing
the
it.
snow.
Right.
Yeah.
You remember, and getting twirled around
Uh-huh.
and then landing,
My-
you know, me in the car landing.
My example.
That was,
I had a
that was what
supervisor
I was
who gets
experiencing. I
wild.
just stayed
Uh-huh.
centered.
If she
I said,
tried
okay,
to
Lord,
need
here we
something-
go.
Wait a second, let's
Right.
Deborah tell her story so we can all hear it.
Is my experience with this wind and business, this is my story on that case. Because my supervisor gets wild when something's gone wrong and somebody's got to fix something. Well, I'm the fixer because I'm the technical expert. So she'll come to my desk in the past and say, oh my gosh, do you know that we need to get, what are we going to do about this? And I would go, oh my God, I don't know. Now it's, well, we're going to fix it. Now, tell me what the issue is, and I'm going to fix it. I don't get
Caught up
wrapped
in it.
up
You don't
in
fall
her.
into
Well, you're not just getting wrapped up, you're feeding.
Oh,
You're feeding the story.
yes.
And that's why I want you to listen to Kenny's thing, because we said some things that just came out of my mind. It wasn't like I had it preset, but all of a sudden you start, here's a story they're giving you, and you continue the story. You keep writing the story. You add to it instead of just not reading it. Instead of going, done with that. No, you take what they wrote you, and then you write it even more. It gets worse, you know what I mean? Instead of going, just not going to read that.
I'm not going to go there.
When you close that, you've closed the energy portal to that.
Is she starting to calm down more when she comes and presents these things
Not
to you because you're
necessarily.
not?
Not necessarily.
I bet in time she will.
In time, probably will.
Yeah, she will
She is
because,
just that way. And she
but
just-
with you, she probably will start doing that.
All I know is,
I bet
I'm
she
not
does.
going anymore.
Good
But
for
it doesn't
you.
matter if she does or she doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
And what will probably happen as soon as Deborah's done with that completely is when that'll stop completely.
Yeah.
So now I'm just drawn to kind of hold it pretty tightly, and I'm tapping the gray fingernail, the triple warmer. Even though this is more of the pericardium, the triple warmer is its partner. You start to see the relations after you play with it for a while. I'm also in a second going to roll her over and look at that QL. But because this seems a little more well, I'm going to say secondary, but I don't know if that's the right word.